Welcome on to the next edition of the Faster Beyond 50 podcast. My name is Brad Naddle. We've got the coach Lindsey Parry with us once again. And today we're talking about Healthspan. We're going to be talking about some mindset and some tips around training alone. We're going to look at anxiety and running, as well as goal setting in over 50s and what should be a good goal to be working towards. Lindsey, good to have you with us. We're inching closer to my Comrades Marathon. We've got a big announcement as well with regards to what are we going to be doing over the next few weeks on this podcast, but I'll save that for later. I tell you what, I am absolutely bricking myself for this ultra marathon that's happening in just a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, Brad, but you've done a lot of work and it hasn't been a short-term journey. You've done this over years, not just months. So quietly confident you're going to enjoy yourself. You will also hurt, but that's ultra marathon. Can't go into that without expecting some pain. So understand the nerves. Let me first acknowledge that I'm not surprised that you are nervous. But yeah, I think you've done the work. You've earned as they say, pain is privilege. You've earned the privilege of feeling the pain of being out on the road.
Yeah, and just to let everybody know, I mean, obviously we do have a lot of people who listen to this podcast who know what Comrades is, but yeah, just to say it's a 50 odd mile ultra marathon that's run here in South Africa. It's the oldest and largest ultra marathon every year. I think there's close on 20,000 people towing the line, Lindsey. I mean, for an ultra marathon of that distance, it is phenomenal. Tons of elevation, like it is super brutal, and there is a crazy cutoff. You've only got 12 hours to do it in. So the pressure is on. I am feeling the pressure, but yeah, as you say, pain is a privilege, and I'm just more than anything so stoked that I'm fit and healthy enough to be able to have done what I needed to do to get to the start line. And yeah, I don't know about enjoying, because geez, when you're in the hurt box and deep in the hole, it's not that enjoyable at the time, but afterwards it definitely is. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's been, as a lot of people know, I mean, this race has been a huge part of both of our lives. I mean, we both grew up around the race with our dads running it. Your dad's run multiple times. I think my dad's run it 10 or 11 times as well. So it is a huge part of who we are as runners in South Africa.
Yeah, exactly. And we do have to be a little bit careful when we say pain is privilege, Brad, because a lot of the time we're actually trying to help people to run pain free. But I think when it gets to race day, and what you've worked towards, yes, then pain is privileged. We're not talking about the sore knees and hamstrings and yeah, totally different. We need to always contextualize these things.
Yeah, that it is. Absolutely. All right, Lindsey, it is a Q&A episode of the podcast today. And don't forget, if you have a question you would like Lindsey to answer on this podcast, all you need to do is click on the link that's in the description of this podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, it is in the show or in the description below the video. If you're listening on whatever podcast player you're on, if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, the link is in the show notes. You can click on that and leave your question. We do filter the video questions to the top. We love seeing and hearing you. So please do leave us a video question if at all possible. And we'll go through today's questions. The first one comes from Thomas Rivero, who's sent us a message from Santa Fe in New Mexico. He said, "Hi, Lindsey. Running is my stress relief, but lately I've been more anxious about slowing down and losing fitness. How do you help older athletes let go of those fears and stay mentally strong?" It is, I mean, it's a mind shift thing, but it is hard to, I don't want to say let go, because you don't want to let go, but sort of how do you urge athletes you work with to deal with this dilemma?
Oh, Brandon, it's different for different people. And by that, I don't just necessarily mean personality, although personality does play an important role here too. But I'm talking simply, stage of life. And even if we're the same age, it doesn't mean we're the same stage of life. Someone like me, who's run fairly competitively from the age of 5 until 48, that's 43 years of running. So I'm afraid my wear and tear and slowing down is going to be completely different to someone who discovers running in their 40s and 50s. And so we are dealing with people in various stages of their running cycle, people that are slowing down because they're getting older. And a lot of those people, we can reverse a lot of that in the short term. But in the long term, we can just slow down the slowing down. And then we get others that have just started, just found out they're good runners, and they can maybe get better for another 5, 6, 7 years. So I think that's the easy that's the easy category to motivate. The guy who took up exercise to be healthy later on in life and suddenly realized, hang on, I can run, and they just get better and better and better. But I think the guys who've been running for a long time, 20, 30, 40 years, and now it's getting harder to run, and you're slowing down, and you just quite simply will never be able to do what you did before. So how do you stay motivated? And there's a couple of ways of doing that, Brad. The first thing is that because humans by their very nature are quite competitive, that's why we have age groups. Because when I'm 50, I don't want to compete against a 30-year-old anymore. I mean, I do. Don't get me wrong, I do. I do want to, but I can't. Or sometimes I can, but generally you can't. You see, it's hard to let go, Brad. Um, but that's why we have age categories, because sooner or later it gets to the point where we're not competitive anymore. But now we can be competitive within that band. And there are times in that band that are competitive, so we can use the times that other people in that category are running to motivate us. We can use, positions and where you come in your age group in those races to keep you motivated. But more importantly, you probably need to find some more intrinsic forms of motivation, and change your why a little bit, and get into the why is it important that I carry on exercising. Well, one of the reasons is in some ways it's like negative reinforcement, but part of the reason why you should carry on exercising when you get older is because if you've been exercising hard for many years, you've got a very big enlarged heart that needs to keep working, because if it doesn't, you will start to develop irregular heartbeat, ectopic beats, heart chambers that don't fill up properly. So part of this is that you've created yourself a cross to bear, and that is that you've got a very strong heart, that it needs to be kept that way. But yeah, on the more like sort of positive reinforcement, it's so that you can stay healthy, so that you can stay fit, so that you can keep leaving your house, so that you can keep strong bones and tendons and ligaments, so that if you do fall, or if you're in an accident, that you are strong and you're robust and you can bounce back from those setbacks, so that you can watch your if you've got sons and daughters, so that you can watch them grow up and grow old and perhaps have their own families, and you have grandchildren that you can interact with, so that you don't get wheeled in to birthday parties in a wheelchair and stuck in the corner. You can actually be part of the action, go and get yourself your own food, so you can choose what you want to eat, not what other people think you want to eat. So there's just so many good reasons to do it, but the why becomes different, and you've got to find that new why. Make it more social if you can, like make it something you can do to meet new people, or hang out with current friends. um, but and then you do what my dad does, and like basically he doesn't really work in PBs anymore. He works in season's bests, so he keeps trying to um get better. So how much better can I be this year? So after having taken a break, um coming back in and setting new targets for what can I achieve this year, and what are going to be my goals for this year. So keep setting goals, I guess, is what I'm saying. Just make the goals different.
Yeah, Lindsey, if I can also just throw something in here too, and you've got a great example of someone who struggled with this, and it might also be a case of where you feel like you're slowing down, that you need to push the envelope in every single run because you need to get faster. And one of your clients, Jackie, felt that way, where she was like defending this line, particularly in her easy runs. And as soon as she sort of let go of that, her performance actually improved after that.
Yeah, and I think those are where I talk about the short-term wins. We can definitely get short-term wins. They, as Al Pacino liked to say, and I think what was that movie? There's inches all around us. So there's seconds all around us if we do the right things. And certainly that, as we get older, is just such a big line. It's like people feel like if they drop below 5 minutes, okay, or 8-minute miles on their easy runs, that somehow declassifies them from being a fast runner. I can't run. I don't want to be able to run slower than 6 minutes a K. And that just means then that you run hard every day, and that's going to make you slower faster. And I think that's where you're going. Whereas if you get that right, yes, there's some short-term gains and you can maybe even get quicker in the short term. But the reality is that the long-term gains are what are more important, because it means you will slow down less over time. And I feel like this question is more about the fact that there is this inevitable slowing down, and what we can do to say, well, yes, I'm slower, but what can I do to just make this all better?
Yep, absolutely. Great question, Thomas. Thank you so much for submitting that. Lindsey, next question comes from Helen Kunig. She is in Hamburg in Germany. Helen is really struggling with like these nagging little injuries, and they seem to be shifting around. She's got Achilles strain, then she's got a calf strain, and then she's sitting with a hamstring twinge. She says, I stretch and I strength train. Is there something I'm missing? Is it recovery? Is it hormones? What can she do? She is desperate for help.
So it's definitely linked to recovery, but the reason for it is much harder to figure out. So, we've referred to it. Well, I have referred to this so many times since we had the deep dive with Grant, but this minimum effective dose. So one of the things is, of course, is that because running is the thing that we do, but strength training we know we have to do. And as we get older, strength becomes much more important, and we do want to push ourselves. But we've got to pick our moments of when we're going to push themselves. So there's still some balancing that's required. And I think while you are training for something and working hard on your running, we've got to kind of fall back to this minimum effective dose that Grant introduced us to. And that's to say that we're going to do strength training, and we're going to do it hard enough that it's making a difference, but not so hard that it's impacting on our ability to progress in the running. And that means that it shouldn't be making us sore. So that like delayed onset of muscular soreness and stiffness in the muscles that you get, particularly from strength training, we definitely don't want to be gymming hard enough to get that during periods of hard training. So I think on the one hand, doing strength training is important. Doing the right strength training, probably equally important. And then balancing that strength training against where we are training now. So for like the 6 to 8 weeks of peak training for a specific event, we'll hit that minimum effective dose. After that event, we will reduce the training a little bit so that we can increase the strength training again and focus on that a bit more in the short term. And then that's kind of how we play the two off each other. So that's the one side of doing the right things, but making sure you're doing the right things correctly. And then very importantly, like as we've preached over and over and over again, is that quite simply doing workouts at the correct intensities. Now, that goes for both the easy and the hard. We obviously overemphasize the easy here at Coach Perry because that's the one most people get wrong. And in this instance, maybe it is still being done incorrectly. So we've got to make sure the easy is easy enough. If you are someone who's injury prone, then probably the best way to do that is to use heart rate and make sure that they genuinely are easy enough. Then when it comes to the hard running, which are generally that's our highest risk for injury, those also need to be done at the right intensity. High intensity sessions do not need and shouldn't necessarily be done at an absolute all out effort. They should be done at a variety of intensities that are relative to what we are training for and where we currently are. Because if we do those at the right intensity, that massively reduces our risk of hurting ourselves. If you're doing 1K repeats as hard as you can, there's a risk of you hurting yourself on repetition 2, 3, or 4. But if you're doing it well within your capabilities and based off of where your fitness is right at this moment, and we build these up over time, that should make a big difference to reducing your injury risk. And then finally, you are 62 years old, and there could well be an element of some hormones that are contributing to that process. um, there are things you can do to improve in your nutrition, the timing of your nutrition, but that's stuff that I would definitely go and have a chat to your family doctor about, and do some tests, run the numbers, see if there is some supplementation that you may need to include, see if there are some hormones that might benefit you. But yeah, that definitely can play a role in recovery.
Yeah, and just so you know, Helen, as well, I'm not sure if you are aware, but we do have a sister podcast called She Runs Strong that is specifically for females over the age of 45. And Shona and Nikki, Shona Hendricks and Nikki Friedman, the two hosts of that podcast, really dive into a lot of female-specific issues around hormones and nutrition and that sort of stuff. So it is a goldmine of information. I'll pop that link into the description as well. Definitely go and listen to that too, because there are lots of nuggets that you can take out of that as well. Lindsey, next question from Brenda. Brenda's in Edinburgh in Scotland, and she's a member of our Fast to Beyond 50 community. She's been training with us for a little while. She says, Lindsey, I love the Fast to Beyond 50 community, but sometimes I still feel like I'm training alone out here. She says, any tips on staying connected and accountable when you're the only runner in your house? If you're over 50 and want to recover from sessions faster, run pain and injury-free, and improve your endurance, then be sure to join Lindsey and I for our upcoming Fast to Beyond 50 Masterclass. In it, we'll show you how we helped a 70-year-old run a 47-minute, 18-second 10K, and how you can take those exact same principles and apply them in your training. Simply scan the QR code that's on screen right now, or click on the link in the description below to save your seat in the training now. We look forward to seeing you there.
Look, in your house is obviously difficult, but no, I mean, there's just so many cool options. I mean, I know Edinburgh is a pretty active community, so I know there are clubs out there. Plug into a midweek easy run group is a good alternative. We've got what we call coffee runs here. I'm sure you've got coffee runs, or start a coffee run where you are. But certainly spending time with people who share your passion for running is great. Spend more time in the forum. We certainly are working to try and improve the community engagement between our members. And so that might be a good way, for you to get involved and to start up a thread, and to maybe chat to other people in Edinburgh that are also on the platform. And then we do have platforms like Strava that will also help you to connect and find people in and around where you are. And even if you don't hook up for a lot of runs, you can kind of build up these little communities just in and around where you are, where you can share experiences, routes, comments, tease each other a little bit, that kind of thing. So there's lots of options. There's loads of people you can follow on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, that you can look for and follow their journeys. Start something of your own, so that other people can follow your journey. Build your own community around your own little Insta channel or something along those lines.
Yeah, and you also forgot a big one as well, and I know there is definitely one in Edinburgh too. Is parkruns a great sort of place to meet people and sort of like-minded individuals. So if you're not running, I think it's the Edinburgh Parkrun. I know Nikki was based in Edinburgh for a long time. If you're not running the parkrun in Edinburgh, do yourself a favor, head out there Saturday morning. And if you live, and this is for anyone, if you live in an area where there are parkruns, definitely get out. Like, it is one of the most welcoming communities. Low pressure. It's just like really cool.
And parkrun might be a great way to get her household involved in
Exactly.
running by coming down. They can just walk the dog until they slowly get bitten by the bug.
Yeah, it's a gateway drug, Lindsey. That's what parkrun is. Before you know it, you are throwing up in the middle of an ultra marathon. That's just the way it works. Unfortunately, you get sucked into parkrun and then you go down the slippery slope and you sucked in for life. Lindsey, question from Carlos Jimenez. He's in Miami, Florida. He's 59. He said, I used to chase personal bests. We spoke about this at the start of the podcast, but now I just want to stay healthy and consistent. How do you recommend we set goals that still motivate us without burning out or comparing to our younger selves? Let's talk about goal setting.
Yeah, so I think again, this launches straight into the health span and what are those goals? Like, I would set goals around what do you want to be capable of achieving. So that may not be a goal time. It may be some hectic mountain that you want to be able to climb and maybe you'll never climb it, but you just want to know that you're capable of climbing it. It might be that you want to be able to do stairs when you're 80 years old, as an example. So, yeah, I think that the key is like, what is it that you want out of exercise, and then tailor those goals, or not out of exercise. What do you want to be capable of doing in your everyday life? So, what's the kind of change you want to make? Um, so that you are completely self-reliant for as long as humanly possible. I think that's kind of where I would go with the health span, and that might still include some time goals of, yes, I can never run a sub 35 10K again, but I think I can, if I really get everything right and train hard, I think I can get back to a sub 40-minute 10K. So that could be like again a performance or a time orientated goal. But another one could be is like, hey, I haven't been able to do a pull up for 20 years. I'm going to get strong in the gym. I want to be able to do a pull up. And then actually, I want to be able to do 10 pull ups.
Mm.
Again, when we were in high school, we could do 20. But let's not worry about high school. What can we do now, and how can we improve to get to that next step? So I would set myself strength goals. I would set myself goals around how I want to look and how I want to feel, and I'd set myself goals around what sort of distances I want to be able to run. Um, you know, Brad's on this journey for comrades, which we chatted about a few times, but my own father, 75 years old, he still wants to be able to run 50 kilometers, but last year in racing a 50K, he found himself, he finished the race, but then found himself in the ambulance. But he still wants to be able to run those 50s. So his goal completely shifted. He doesn't care what time he runs the 50 in anymore. Now it's, can he run the 50? And he did. He did a 50 a couple of weeks ago and he enjoyed it. He said the last 5Ks were really tough, but he felt good. And when he came in, my mom phoned, said, "Oh, Dad looks so much better. He's fixed his nutrition and whatever." But when I ran with my dad, I says, "I know Mom thinks it's my nutrition, but I just went there and I didn't care what time I ran. So I was 35 minutes slower than when I ran the 50 last time, and that was enough for me to enjoy it and feel good the whole way." So that's kind of an example of just like completely shifting how you look at your goal, Brad, and
Mm.
just making it the whole focus of your training different, because that'll still motivate you to get out of bed and do what you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a chuckle when you said your dad ended up in an ambulance because it reminded me of the way I used to play rugby at high school. Lindsey, I used to always go and introduce myself to the St. John's ambulance guy because 9 times out of 10 I'd be going home with him. That's just the way it worked. So cool. And then question, this is also, funnily enough, along the same sort of lines, and Healthspan is sort of like one of the big buzzwords around at the moment. This is from Dr. Marcus Lee. I think he's sort of baiting us here, Lindsey, because I love the question, and it is exactly what we're talking about. Doc Lee is from Singapore, and he says, Lindsey, I believe structured running is a form of long-term healthcare. Don't you just love that as an attitude from a doctor? I think it's brilliant. He says, what do you think are the most underrated benefits of staying consistent with your running in your 50s, 60s, and even beyond race results, just from a consistency perspective?
I'm going to tell you that the literal most underrated value of being on a structured training plan is a reduction in chronic medications. Like simple as that. Like the only reason that I think that the vast majority of the medical profession is still so almost anti-exercise is for that single fact, is that people who follow moderate, structured training with goals to keep them, they have lower blood pressure, lower cholesterol, less problems with diabetes and sugar control in their blood, lower incidence of cardiovascular, cardiorespiratory disease, lower all round mortality, less medications, um, healthier and stronger bones, less inclined to break bones when you fall, faster recoveries from anesthetics and operations. The list is long, Brad. The benefits of moderate exercise, moderate volume, moderate intensity, consistent exercise are massive. And yeah, we've got to throw strength training in there just because unless I'm implying it when I'm giving that answer, but unless I actually say it out loud, I know that the runners out there they're not hearing it. So I have to say it out loud. But the benefits to mental health. I mean, geez, this list can get very long, Brad. There's just enormous mental health benefits to exercising. Um, it is literally the most underrated form of medicine. Let me sum it up like that. That exercise is medicine, and it is the most underrated form of medicine.
Yeah, Lindsey, I want to just read something, and this was posted in our forum. As you were saying that, it made me remember this post, and this was posted just a few weeks ago, and I'm sure she won't mind me sharing it because I absolutely love this, and this drives home the point. So one of our members of the Coach Parry app, she's been training with us for a number of years, probably close on 5 years, Diana. She lives in Canada, and she posted this basically just saying, I wanted to thank everybody at Coach Parry for helping me meet a milestone of a different kind. I mean, we love here at Coach Parry, we love the PBs and running performances. But for me, this is one of the reasons why I started working with you, because of the impact it has on people's lives and sort of quality of life. She says, I have osteoporosis like many people do, and was advised by my doctor 13 years ago to pick up an activity that required pounding in order to keep my bones from progressing into the negative direction. This started my journey of running with the intention of never going on prescription medication for this condition. I signed up for a trial with Coach Parry 5 years ago and have never looked back. Today, I had another bone mineral density test, which is normally done every 2 years in my province in Canada. I'm ecstatic to announce that today's results showed that I'm holding the line on osteoporosis. The training of strength, running, and nutritional guidance has kept and will continue to keep me off medication. The notation on my scan was to continue the diet, exercise, and lifestyle measures and to return in 3 years. I'm beyond happy, as my primary goal was to stay off meds. And of course, I later got bitten by the competitive bug when I ran my first race. Thanks again for getting me to my 5-year milestone of keeping healthy and getting stronger. I mean, that just sums up exactly what you're saying. I mean, it's just the lifestyle impact that running has, and the strength training and all the other stuff and the consistency is just phenomenal.
Like that couldn't sum up any better that exercise is medicine. So that is just such a rewarding post for us. And, we use performance to sell, and because humans, again, are competitive. But honestly, the reason why we use fast beyond 50 is because ultimately we are in the game of keeping people self-dependent, self-reliant, healthy, strong for as long as humanly possible. So we are in the business of Healthspan, and we use performance to sell that. But ultimately, really what we're about is keeping people healthy, fit, and strong for as long as humanly possible.
Yeah, Diana, thank you for sharing that in the forum as well. I mean, it just, yeah, Linz, I mean, I get quite emotional when I read stuff like that, because It is. It's exactly why we do what we do. And yeah, I don't know about you, but I know that I want to flip and keep moving for as long as I humanly can. And this is the way to do it. So yeah, as always, thank you so much for your questions and your comments. If you would like to submit a question for the podcast, all you need to do is head over to the link that's in the description. You can click on it right now. And as I said, we filter the video questions to the top. And then I said I'd also let you know what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks. So Lindsey and I and the rest of the Coach Barry team are heading down to KwaZulu-Natal in Durban for the Comrades Marathon. We are going to be there pretty much for a full week. We've got a pretty jam-packed schedule. One of us has to run as well. So just adding that, which happens to be me. But yeah, so we are going to be taking a few weeks off this podcast, but we've been getting some great feedback from the latest episodes, and there are a few episodes that we think were even better than the most recent episodes that didn't get as much traction. So we're going to just share a couple of the older episodes on this feed over the next few weeks that you may have missed. And I think they are definitely worth revisiting. So we're going to pop that up for the next few weeks. We'll be back just after Comrades. I know I've been getting lots of messages as well of well wishes for the ultramarathon. If you would like to track me, Comrades does have an app on race day. My race number is 3017. I've got a nice, short, easy number to remember. That's 3017. You can track me as well. And yeah, hopefully all goes according to plan. It should be a great day out, and we'll be back in just a few weeks' time. So thank you so much for listening, and we look forward to catching up again soon. Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.